Good evening, very warm welcome to our usual Monday night roundup here on the West Yorkshire Football Show. I'm Chris Bell, and tonight I'm joined by Lewis Dale, Stephen Downs, and Dave Foy. And a little bit later on, we'll hopefully be joined by Stephen Brown and Jayson Boocker as well to talk all things Leeds United. First things first, gents. How are we all? It feels like a while, to be fair, certainly for me at least, since I've been on a Monday night show and been away for the last couple of weeks or so. How are we all doing?
Fantastic, mate. How are you guys, all right?
Yes, very well. That was great. You literally all spoke at once, which is excellent because usually there's a massive delay and nobody says anything. So, solid.
I'm allowed to legally drive now, so I'm fantastic.
Whoa! I mean, that is terrifying for us all. At the very least, as a man that's registered blind. Lou, will you be on the M62 if Downs is around?
I may be going the back routes. Welcome to the B roads, Lewis L, because Downs is hitting the traffic.
I mean, to be fair, you're not literally hitting the roads, thankfully, for the rest of us at least. But you have been doing some form of driving experience, I think. Earlier.
Was out on a racetrack in Wigan earlier today, bought by my good lady as a Christmas present. It's the closest I'll ever get to driving, so it's an amazing experience. Fantastic charity of people over in Wigan, so. Really enjoyed it, and the woman instructor thought I did absolutely fantastic. She even said it's like being sat in the car with Sterling Moss, so you can't get better than that, can you?
And of course, being in Wigan, you can crash into as much crap as you want, and it won't actually be any damage. It'll probably improve the place. Dave, how are you, mate? How are you, apart from sweating?
Hi, mate.
Yeah, I'm fine.
How's things?
Yeah, good. Just very warm.
Sweatbox is going well, Dave.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's time you invested in multiple fans for that room, I think.
Yeah, I think so as well.
New season, same Dave.
That's it.
Well, let's get started then. Let's start talking football, and we'll start with Huddersfield Town because it's fair to say, Mr. Downs, they've started the season relatively well. The League One table looks a little bit peculiar because Town are at the top and the bottom three are all sides that I think on most of us expected to be up there in those top six places. Of course, early days. And for the Terriers, a solid 2-0 win away at Reading.
Yeah, it was after Leyton Orient, obviously on the opening day, when I think all football fans admit that anything can happen on the opening day, to be fair. But, you know, when you go into match day 2, it sort of maybe proves something a little bit more. I was a bit nervous because Reading, I actually think, are a good side under Nolan, and they proved that at the end of last season, didn't they? When they nearly got in the playoffs. Yeah. So you know, and there's a lot of optimism around there. They were going to make a big deal of it. Was the first home game for them since the new owner is in. Really, new beginnings and all that. But although I didn't watch the game, I obviously have seen highlights and have spoke to a lot of people about the game. It seemed like we didn't put on the best of performances, and it was certainly weaker than the Leyton Orient victory. However, in the second half, we did take control once again of the fixture and really showed our mettle. Scored 2 goals at very good times in Watmore and a young Ashaya, who scored on his debut, only 18-year-old kid who, you know, the scenes at the end were absolutely magnificent. For an 18-year-old kid to score like that, you know, you could see the raw emotion of what it meant to him, and it was just brilliant. But yeah, solid 2-0 win. I think Reading will be a good side this year. So, you know, not the best performance, but in previous seasons, Chris, over the last 2 or 3 years, we would have lost that game 100% because we'd have just collapsed like a house of cards, where it shows the mentality of this team that Lee Grant has built as, you know, he's obviously showing a lot more mettle.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to mention that obviously there was a full Town Talk review show last night with Kane, with Zach, and with Callum as well. So Town fans, if you haven't seen it already, you can head over to the YouTube channel and check that out after tonight's stream. And a couple of things we raised were, as you say, that for one, in the previous seasons, you probably wouldn't have kept things as tight, kept things on a level keel, and then obviously taken the lead as you did. And that will be a massive impact. And the other thing that I remember kind of hearing them discuss, and I want to get your take on, is do we think that the Lee Grant effect and the fact that he is this unknown quantity is making it difficult for other managers to kind of not plan to face Town, but obviously it's a little bit more of an unknown quantity. And then how do you think it will go long term when sides are starting to figure out just how Lee Grant is wanting to set up and the style of football he wants you to play?
Yeah, it's an interesting one, that. I think there is a bit of that, definitely. However, like most modern young coaches now, and there are, a lot of British young coaches in League One, they don't tend to set with one formation, do they? Unless, I suppose, like you're a very strategist like Brian Barry Murphy at Cardiff, where he does have a very, very defined one way of playing, and that's kind of it. I think Lee Grant's more fluid. I think you saw it under Kieran McGenna at Ipswich. He always has a couple of formations and systems up his sleeve, and I can see Lee Grant being very, very much the same. In the game against Leyton Orient, which obviously I can speak a little bit more about because I saw that fixture. But the first half was not great. We were all right, but we were stellar. And then in the second half, he'd obviously changed something tactically at half time, whether that's, Ledson getting on the ball a bit more, or, Alfie May making more sort of diagonal runs, or Joe Taylor, as in the case of he was the man up top on Saturday, doing something a little bit different. And so that changed the dynamics of the game, and that turned it then in our favour. And I think he's obviously, a coach that watches every single aspect of the tactical analysis of the game and can make those judgments. Again, his substitutes were good. And, he came up with, the team came up with the goals. And as we've seen over Town over many years now, it's not exactly the centre forward that's scoring the goals. Goals are popping up from all different areas of the pitch.
Yeah, absolutely. Just want to touch, of course, on Cameron Asher, who came on, as you said, a young 18-year-old, and got himself a goal. And I also want to bring you in on this one as well, Lou, because I know that he's somebody that you've been watching or keeping an eye on as a young player that you kind of wondered whether he would end up with a loan move out this season, didn't you? But obviously not the case, and he's straight into Lee Grant's plan, Steve.
Yeah. Sorry, Lou, do you want to go first?
No, sorry, I just thought you were going to bring me in. But yeah, I think it's good to see. I mean, Downsy, you can give an opinion on it as well. But he obviously he's got faith in younger players. He's worked with younger players before to bring them through the system. Obviously, the kid who scored on Saturday looks like he's a good size, doesn't he, for an 18-year-old, especially as well, coming at the last minute and scoring and making impact, which is always, it's always pleasing to see one of your own come through and do that job. I think it's encouraging to see Lee Grant probably already stamp his authority on a team of what he wants to get out of him. He's clearly got a way about him. He's not scared of shuffling the pack and making difficult decisions, which he's going to need to do if you're going to be successful. There's going to be players at the moment who haven't started maybe both games, who'll be looking, going, what do I need to do to get into the squad? And that's healthy, having that competition. But at the same time, it's going to be a new experience for him because he's going to have to somehow keep him happy. Now, there's enough games during the course of the season to do that, through suspensions and injuries and trophies. But, let's be all realistic about this. When it comes to the Virtue Trophy or the Carabao Cup early rounds, for example, and there's going to be people shuffled about and players who've not started going to be starting in games, they're going to be starting to question, one, am I going to be starting in a league as, in that first choice 11? And what does my future look like? What do I need to do to break into that team? Which Grant and his coaching staff have got to communicate that really well. So it's an encouraging start. That's what it is. Listen, you couldn't have got off to a better start at Town. It's keeping that momentum going. Are you going to go over the course of the season unbeaten? Very, very, very unlikely. Are you going to probably win the next 3-4 games? It's unlikely. It could happen. But it's a start that probably Huddersfield Town wanted, but I think more importantly needed, because the last thing Huddersfield Town needed is to start the season poorly and, probably do arguably what like Peterborough are doing at the moment, where they just seem to be question marks. At least Huddersfield have have got off to a good solid start and have know what it takes to win a game, which is a big thing under a new manager.
Yeah, absolutely. Steve,
Yeah.
what you take specifically on the Cameron Ashley kind of situation, the fact that actually it also goes to show that over the course of pre-season, Lee Grant has been keeping an eye on the younger players in the town squad and isn't afraid to give them some minutes. And obviously for Cameron to come on and get himself a goal in his debut as well will mean the absolute world to him.
Yeah, so there's been him. There's been Jay Sway, who played in the Burnley game as well and played a number of times in pre-season. And I think it's very encouraging, not just for Lee Grant, but it shows that Town have got some real good talent coming through now. You know, I mean, we've picked up obviously some of these kids that have been taken out, academies higher up, and have come to Town, and Lee Grant's obviously seen them in training and thought, yeah, I can stick them on the bench. I know they'll do a good job for me. And Cameron Asher was one of them. I mean, I think when he brought him on, it's not just the goal that was impressive. It's taking it to the corner in the final few minutes. It's showing that maturity, against good fullbacks that are experienced fullbacks in this league. And we've seen him in pre-season. He's a very, like you said, he's a bulky lad, but he's got, plenty of pace about him, and can loves to take on defenders and run at them. So I think we'll see him a few times this season. I think we'll see, like I said, Jay Sway as well. There's a lad called Vost too that's in the academy. So like Lou says, with the Virtue Trophy or the Crap Cup as I call it, it's a good chance to show some of these youngsters. We did see Michael Duff use them last season very sparingly against Doncaster and Walsall. However, I think the difference with Duff and Grant, and it's already become very clear within over training videos, that is the fact that that Michael Duff's system was very complicated for players to understand, and Lee Grant's keeping it very, very simple. This is your role in the team. This is what you're expected to do for the team. And if you don't do it well, you won't be playing. And there's still players like McGowan come in, and Murray Wallace is injured at the moment. So it's encouraging, and I'm looking forward to seeing what we can do at Blackpool away, because that is kind of Blackpool away last season. Obviously, I went to the game, and that was the first game where we saw Joe Taylor and Dion Charles together. So and we drew 2-2, and we ended up coming back in that game from 2-0 down. So it'll be very interesting to see how the performance against Blackpool away differs to the one last season under a very different manager, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. Blackpool, one of the sides that haven't started the season particularly well as well, so there might be extra kind of reasoning to go there optimistic. Just before we carry on, I'm going to bring in our good mate Stephen Brown. How are you, mate? You well?
Yep, Premier League's here. Don't worry.
That's not going to get annoying over the course of the season.
Relegation turned up.
Oh, come on, don't sour it, mate. Come on. I wanted to
go on.
Sorry,
By the
no,
way,
I was just going to
just go on.
Go on. But bloody hell, I've only been on the show a
say,
minute and I've been interrupted already. Jesus.
I know, sorry. But Brownie, I'm going to put it in the chat, in the WhatsApp chat, but I've just watched Mark Goldbridge, right, and his Premier League predictions, and he said that Patrick Bamford is the Leeds United manager, and he's going to be the first to get sacked. So, yeah. At least you offer better insight than them.
It's so stupid that I'm thinking that's got to be like, he's done that on purpose, surely. Like, you can't, surely. Like, because it's been clipped up now, hasn't it? And it's like going everywhere. So I'm like, I think he's done that on purpose, I really do.
Playing on being an idiot.
Yeah. No, I was going to ask you, Downsy, actually. What do you make of Lee Grant kind of personally, or like when you watch his interviews and stuff? How do you find how he's coming across? Because we all remember Darren Moore. And I think you were like sent to sleep, weren't you, at certain times? And then obviously the other extreme is like Neil Warnock, who, is great to listen to.
A Brighton writer.
Yeah, yeah, Brighton writer. But where's kind of Lee Grant stacking up? Do you enjoy his post-match interviews and his press conferences?
Yeah, he uses the word group a lot, which I've never heard a manager really like over extenuate that word. But my God, the group is fantastic. No, he's a very like I said earlier, Brownie, before he came on. You know, he's a modern day young head coach or manager in this case, and he's obviously, you know, he talks with some tactics, but then in the other set, he's not like Darren Moore where it's all just tactics and boring and all that sort of stuff. He still brings that, like, for instance, against Leyton Orient, he said, like, the crowd really got on our side. You know, the fans really helped us through. And so he's got that emotional sort of connection with us as well. And I think one of the things that was noticed by everybody at Reading particularly, because you notice these things, don't you, when there's an away attendance, you know, more, because he's kind of one end of the ground, is that, you know, Grant made a real effort to go over to the supporters at the end of a Reading game and stand there for quite a while and take it in. And I think that's, you know, to me, when he's saying to the players, not that they needed any encouragement, but, you know, the lads, he was like, you know, these lads here and lasses have come to support us today. They've chanted all game. And, you know, so I've really enjoyed his interviews. I think they're quite relaxed. I mean, Town are doing a bit of a new thing now where they're not putting out the press conferences. They're sort of doing preview shows before the games, which are quite cool, and then they're getting a player in. And I think that's come from Grant, really. I think that might be an idea that's come from him. I mean, he's also very relaxed, like when they're doing their inside training stuff, and you know, I think that's been quite cool to watch. So I like him. I think the support, you know, most Town fans are very supportive of him. I think there's still a bit of like, you know, how's he going to get on when there's a bit of trouble comes? You know, if we lose, you know, a game, or we have a really bad performance in like one of the cups or whatever. I mean, we could lose on Wednesday to Leicester and get beat 5-0. But it's then how does he bounce back from that? And we've seen it with McKenna, haven't we, at Ipswich, and seen it with other young head coaches where they've kind of got this bounce back ability. And I just wonder if Grant's made of that same mould. So I quite like him, mate, to be honest. I think he's good. He's not sent me to sleep yet.
I genuinely thought when you started a sentence then, Town are doing things a little bit different. I thought you were going to end it with winning.
True.
Let's very quickly get some form of, not predictions as such, but your thoughts ahead of these next two games, Steve, just before we move on to touching on Bradford City. As you've touched on there, Leicester on Wednesday night, obviously they got a win yesterday in the league against Sheffield Wednesday. And then as you say, that trip to Blackpool at the weekend, that, you know, Blackpool in August sounds like a great away day.
Well, first of all, the Leicester Cup game, I really wonder how they're going to deal with this cup fixture, because obviously their whole thing this season has got to be surely trying to get back up. Obviously they've got that. We don't know about the points deduction or anything yet, do we? So I'm not sure how things are sort of a lay of the land, with the manager there and the squad. You know, they seem to have lost a few players now. I don't know kind of what they've done in the transfer window, but listen, in terms of Town, Carabao Cup, we might as well not have been in it last two seasons, because we always go to like Shrewsbury and lose or whatever. So, but it's a chance in it for Grant to test himself and the team test himself against good opposition, try and get through another round, and that's what it is really. That's how I'm seeing it, and I think a lot of other Town fans see it. It's not on our sort of radar as big importance. You know, Blackpool, which I'll nicely slide into, is the much more important fixture. Steve Bruce at Blackpool, they've not started well. I mean, they got absolutely battered at the weekend. Absolutely right. I've watched the highlights and they looked crap. I'm not going to lie. You know, first week they lose to Stevenage, and then at the weekend they were rubbish. So, which is a bit of a surprise, because most people had them down as dark horses to get into the playoffs. Now, is this a case of Steve Bruce has brought a load of players in and it's just not going to work? I think it's going to be so interesting to watch how they're going to go over the next month. But Town, like I said, need to turn up, need to just do what they've done in the last 2 games. And if we can have a better performance, then great. I think Marcus Harness is quite key on the wing because he's a different type of player to anybody in our squad. We kind of had Alfie May doing that role on Saturday, and whilst he can do it, and obviously he has done it in a Birmingham shirt, I'd much rather him up top, really, or in the number 10 position. And I quite liked Harness when he was against Leyton Orient, but he came off injured and has got a little knock. So do we need to bring anybody in? Probably a winger, but I think I'm looking forward to Blackpool. I'm not going, obviously I can't, but I'm excited to see what league. And if we get 3 wins in a row, that is unheard of, by the way. Town winning the first 3 games of the season. We don't do that very often.
Yeah, it will be quite the result. As you say, you can't make it yourself because instead of being on the sandy, sunny beaches of Blackpool, you're away on holiday with some other sunny, sandy beaches, aren't you? So I'm sure.
No, not quite. No. That's a few days later. I'm going to the Sixers in Headingley, which is a cricket thing for a mate's birthday.
In that case, I'm disappointed then because cricket is terrible. Let's turn our attention to Bradford City then. I'm going to bring the comment from Darren as well. He says, "When's the City talk show?" Of course, we do have Brownie and Jane on their Leeds content. We do have Downsy and the lads with their Town talk shows. The City talk show, it's a bit of a work in progress, to be fair, Brownie, isn't it? We are trying to get something across, but the problem is we rely on Bradford City, on Gaz, and sadly Gaz is having a very well-earned holiday this week, so he's not with us. But it is something that we actually are trying to, see if we can piece together, if we can get some volunteers from a Bradford City persuasion to come on and give their opinions with Gaz as well, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I know he's done the preview show with Jason McEwen from the Width of the Post. So, yeah, a little regular show like that would be absolutely fantastic for Bradford City because I know Gaz has covered a lot on, if you check out the playlists on the channel. So there's a lot of Gaz Bradford City content on there as well. But, yeah, it'd be nice to, City Talk Show. Yeah, we'll have to remember that one.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll turn to you for this one then, Lou, as... you're from the opposite side of the Bradford persuasion, but you keep your hand in with City as well. I know. For them, a goalless draw at Northampton Town at the weekend, obviously off the back of that solid win on the opening day against Wickham, just keeps Bradford City ticking over quite nicely at the moment, doesn't it?
Yeah, I've seen the highlights of the game.
It's a short package.
It's pretty quick, but yeah, to be fair, I think. By the sounds of it and the looks of it, they were the dominant team. They had one pretty much cleared off the line as well, which would have been a really good, solid away victory. But, to be fair, newly promoted team, go and beat Wickham, reasonably well on the opening weekend, which is a great result at home. You've got to keep that place a fortress to have an half-decent season. To go to Northampton, yes, they've been tipped quite heavily to struggle at the wrong end of the table, but it's a potential banana skin for City. We know that sometimes City do slip up against the teams potentially at the wrong end of the table, so they haven't lost. A draw is a good result away from home, and they'll be looking to back that up. So is it the end of the world if not won? Not at all. 4 points out of a possible 6. I think it's a decent return back for Alexander and the team, and looking solid. I know he pretty much kept it unchanged. And I know obviously there's the likes of Andy Cook, which is got back into training, which has excited City fans as well, because he'll feel like a bit of a new boost when eventually he gets back to being fit. And we know that as well, that they've recruited very strongly again. For me, they were, the best team in terms of who they signed last season. I don't think they're far off it again in League One. I think they've signed some really good, honest pros and people who've won stuff as well, but have also got a point to prove. The likes of Stephen Humphreys, who is quite versatile across that front three, is going to offer a lot of dynamism across that front for City. Whilst the likes of Cook are returning, Cavan is doing his job, and Sarcevic is still, even despite just not able to get on the end of a cross at the weekend, gets the opening goal in the first game, and he plays a big important part. Bobby Poynton agreeing new contracts, being rewarded for his performances. So, let's be honest, it's a rosy garden for Bradford City at the moment, and City fans are enjoying it. it's as we keep on saying, when it gets a little bit tougher and the results don't seem to go that way, how do they go about that? But at the moment, it's good momentum at Valparade, and I'm sure they'll want to just keep it going.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know, obviously, for Bradford as well, it's Blackburn away in the Carabao Cup tomorrow. I know tickets are off sale and there's no pay on the day, so I think they're going to be taking a decent money across for that one. And then next Saturday, Downsy, I'll come to you on this one. Obviously, Luton Town at home. Luton, who not had a particularly bad start themselves, actually. I think they're doing all right in the grand scheme of things under Matt Bloomfield, with 2 wins from their first 2 league games. But at Valley Parade, that could be one of the games of the weekend where you could see City potentially upsetting one of the favourites for the title.
Yeah, there's a few things there. I think Gaz, when I was talking to Gaz I think it was maybe a week ago or 2 weeks ago, when it was just me and him for the Monday show, we were kind of saying, Bradford were good at home, but their away record was a bit dodgy. I think the home stadium's going to be absolutely key. I think Wickham turned up, like Lou says, the other week, probably expecting to beat Bradford because they want to be up there again, and the crowd carried them through. And I think that's going to be a massive thing. I think Luton will turn up, like you say, Chris. They haven't been good. I don't think they've been necessarily horrific, but they haven't started like everybody expected them to. I mean, against Wimbledon. Yeah. And, when you've got Wimbledon and Bradford in your first 3 games, you're expecting to beat both of them, aren't they? And to be honest, they were very lucky against Wimbledon. I mean, the lad put it in his own net, very unfortunately. So there's no reason why Bradford can't beat Luton. Absolutely. I think they played better at the weekend by all accounts, did Luton. I think they got a solid 2-0 win, didn't they? But
Peterborough. I mean,
yeah, and Peterborough.
If you've seen the first goal, though, oh my God! If you've seen the first goal in that game against Peterborough, just everything that is wrong with modern football was Luton's first goal.
My pair of curtains could play better than what Peterborough United can at the moment. The only thing that I would say is what Lou was saying about Bradford going to Northampton. I think that's a game, Lou, that they've got to look at and go, like, fair enough, it's away and they've got a point and whatever, but Northampton are going to be down there. They are bad. So I think Alexander will be disappointed that, not like gutted, but I think he will be disappointed at the fact that they've gone to a club where if they're going to, do all right in the league and climb the table, they need to be going and beating teams such as Northampton to really prove why they deserve to be higher in the division. So I think 4 points from the first 2's grand, but I think Alexander could, if you'd have asked him before the 2 games, he'd have probably said lose to Wickham and beat Northampton. But obviously, football doesn't work like that, does it?
Absolutely, it's they're better off with a win and a draw than they would be with a defeat and a win. So
yeah, of course, obviously, I know that you're talking maths there, but all I'm saying is that I'm sure he would have been disappointed, won't he, that they haven't gone and beaten Northampton.
Yeah, it certainly seems, looking at the stats as well, that it wasn't quite a dominant performance in the grand scheme of things.
City will be fine though. I've watched a lot of League One football already in the first 2 weeks, and City by no account are a bad team. There's plenty of bad teams in this league, aka Peterborough United. They'll finish above Peterborough, 100%.
Interesting prediction. We'll see if that comes to fruition in due course then. Let's turn our attention to the non-league side of things before we await Jay's arrival and him and Brownie can get ridiculously excited about the return of the Premier League. Dave, we'll bring you in with this one. I mean, speaking with excitement ahead of the start of the season, it was a little bit of a bump back down to earth for FC Hearts Town at the weekend. Of course, it's a bit of a fresh start, a new phase in the dugout, new players in through the door as well. But a 3-0 defeat at Braintree. And don't get me wrong, for me, Braintree have recruited quite well, actually, for a club of their size, but certainly not a result that you would have been expecting on the opening day.
No, in a word. We've got 10 new players this season, according to Adam Lakeland in his interview. Yeah, is it curtains for Lakeland already now?
Is that accurate? Is it 10-0 already? I mean, I've seen a lot of recruitment for
Nah.
Town, but it doesn't feel like there's been that many in. I was thinking maybe 6 or 7.
I'm quite happy to go with 10. I'll try and name them all off the top of my head. What have we got? Dylan Crow, Thierry Latty Fairweather, just to have a ridiculous name. Sean Hobson. Another
AJ
one.
Warburton, he's come in and then
Yeah,
gone out
AJ
on loan.
Warburton, Cordy Johnson, Hamime, Will Harris. I think I've named nearly 10 there, but we'll try and not get too caught up in that.
You named 3.
Oh, no, I think you're about 6.
No,
Anyway,
I named a lot more than that.
The point is, away at Braintree, a 3-0 defeat, not ideal.
Well, no, especially when you concede after 2 minutes. It's not ideal at all. I mean, what do you want me to say? It's a 3-0 away defeat to a team that will be bottom 6 at the end of the year. They'll probably win. They probably won't win until the end of September, October now. That'll probably be their only win. But that's just what we do, baby. That's how it is.
I think you're underestimating Braintree because they weren't a bad side last season. But
no, I mean, they just stopped up.
You're not happy, are you, Dave? You're not happy, are you, mate?
Well, talk us through the Town perspective then. How was the Town performance? Was it as bad?
Oh, no.
What's happened there, Chris?
I don't know. Messing with the formats then and the layouts for some reason.
It's all about Chris. It's all about Chris tonight, folks. We're not bothering with Dave's opinion about Halifax.
Just
no, I mean,
Dave, how bad was Town?
It's a strange. I'm trying not to go down the Steve Downs route of just making up analogies, but it's a strange mix of this. It's a strange stew of opinions. Is our game on Saturday? A lot of people. You what? Sorry.
I practice my analogies. How dare you?
I love it. I love it. People who were at the game said we didn't actually. It was a weird one because we played quite well. Obviously, we've lost 3-0. I mean, you concede after 3 minutes. It's a cross into the box that isn't dealt with. I'm going to just sound like Adam Lakeland talking. It isn't dealt with. John Akinde apparently were rolling back the years, but I think this is. I don't want to start singling players out, but you've got AAA at the back who's 6'7", but there's no. He's just like he's thin. He's just like a beanpole. There's no physicality to him. So up against John Akinde, it was always going to be a tough afternoon for him and Sean Hobson. So they reckon Akinde did very well, even though he didn't get any of the goals. But people said we were sort of good in patches. And, you know, like I say, you concede after 3 minutes. We were sort of pushing, and it was all by all accounts a howler by Sam Johnson. So the second one, I haven't watched any of the goals back. I've seen the first goal. I think the Enterprise National League tweeted out the first goal, which were a nice little glanced header. But yeah, weird mixture of opinions. Most people say we played well and we've lost 3-0, and it's just one of those days where, you know, we had a penalty with the last kick of the game and I knew we were going to miss it, and we did, and it was a rubbish penalty by all accounts. And we've just had one of those days, and let's just hope it's a case of one of those days that isn't repeated a lot. I'm going to try and remain fairly optimistic for this season. There is 10 new players coming into this team. Adam Lakeland said that in his post-match interview. It's a case of still some gelling. He's brought a couple of players with him from Kings Lynn Town, so they know what he's about and he knows what they're about. And we've had a good pre-season. We scored 14 goals in pre-season. We had a striker that got 4, and anyone that's obviously followed our show for certainly as long as I've been a regular guest on it, we've been a very goal-shy team pre-season and into a season. So I come into it with a lot of optimism. I mean, we've had to play every game away from home. We've had a couple of behind closed doors friendlies against high league opposition, probably a mixture of their B teams and under 23s. I don't think they were first teams by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, the majority of us attended the Bradford Park Avenue away fixture, which was Halifax's first pre-season fixture, and they didn't pull up any trees at all. They didn't show really any quality that say they were 3 divisions above Park Avenue. I don't know. It's just a mixture of things. Things can only get better, and I really hope I'm not going to be tweeting out the Mick McCarthy. It can't get any worse, Mick, can it? And it can. You know, we're going to lose 4-0 at Wealdstone on Saturday, and I'm here again saying it's got worse. things surely can't get any worse than losing 3-0 on the opening day. Pray to God they don't. But I'm optimistic.
I'm gonna touch on obviously looking ahead. Then, as you say, it's an away game at Wealdstone. Wealdstone, who beat Truro City, of course, another one of those new boys in Truro, on the opening day. Where do you kind of stand going into that one in terms of how do you think Adam Lakeland will approach things? Will he try and change things in terms of the squad selection, in terms of the recruitment? Are we expecting any new faces through the door before the weekend's game?
I don't know. I don't think so. I think he's still targeting possibly a few more recruitments out wide and possibly, or certainly supporters think maybe up front. But don't we all want a striker that can hold the ball up and put the ball in the back of the net? It's just something that all clubs wish. I'm going to be honest, I don't think we're going to see anyone else come into the club. I mean, I had an inkling that we would do our traditional 10-2 new signing announcement prior to the 2 o'clock official announcement of teams, and we brought in Jevon Mills. Now I'm on the spot. I can't remember exactly where we brought him from, but I know he's been on loan at Gateshead and Solihull at our level, and he's played at a variety of Scottish clubs.
Yeah,
also, he might.
Was it Hull?
Hull, yes, it was Hull. Yeah, I should have just looked at your shirt, and I'd have probably twigged that it was Hull. I know it's Nairn County just for the colours. He may try Mills in there and just drop out AAA after Saturday. Nobody seems to be putting any attachment on Robson. They seem to think he was sort of like an organiser, really, on Saturday. So maybe we might see Mills in for AAA. But other than that, I think we played our strongest team. Florent Hottie, as usual, carrying something, so he's not involved. Basically, he's injured. So I'm sure we'll go into that game in the will he, won't he play. He had a good pre-season. We maybe missed him slightly. We're a team that have got 3 or 4 long-term injured players that we've offered contract extensions to, and other players that we're already under contract in Max Wright, Joe Cummins, Florent Hottie, and someone else. Zach Emerson. We haven't seen anything of Zach Emerson this pre-season. He got some kind of, I think it might have been a knee or an ankle strain, and that was prior to the Park Avenue pre-season game, and that was the 9th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th of July. You're talking well over a month ago. Scored 5 goals in something like 20 games last season, but he's just not got a run of games, and he's been that way. He's only 20, 21. I mean, I'm sure you guys with your scouting backgrounds and what you do currently might have a bit more of an idea of Emerson. You know, we paid a fee to Blackpool for him last pre-season. We've not seen a lot of him. However, our best form last year was when he was in the team alongside Luca Thomas, a man who's gone to Fylde, and Scott High, who's gone to Barnet. So I don't know.
We will see.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, hopefully we won't lose 3-0 at Wealdstone. They've just signed Daniel. I don't know how to say his name. I want to say it's Unkura, who we had last year on loan from Middlesbrough. He's been signed permanently by Wealdstone, so we've got the former striker coming up against one of his sort of old former clubs that he's played for most recently. Hopefully that doesn't factor into the game. I couldn't tell you. I'm not even sure what Wealdstone did at the weekend. Did they draw? I don't think they lost. They didn't lose.
They beat
you said didn't beat Truro. Yeah. I didn't want to look at the league table or the results after Saturday because I know we're either we're joint bottom, aren't we, with Gateshead? But Gateshead lost 3-0 away at Southend United, which maybe is a little bit more to be expected. I mean, I said to my dad prior, and I've put it on our TikTok video from my talking head prior to the game. My dad said, would you take a draw now? And this were pre-kickoff. And I was like, nah, I think we'll win today. I won't even take a draw. And
by the way, how right was your son on that video, by the way, Dave, when he just said football's crap?
Yeah, he's just got no interest in it at all. I don't know where he gets that kind of indifferent attitude from. I really don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I don't know, but honestly, he has absolutely zero interest in football at all.
Ignorance is bliss, my friend.
Yeah, honestly, he's just got no interest in it at all.
Just before we fully move on from Halifax, I'm just going to bring Jayson Boocker into the fray as well. JP, are we well?
Very well, mate. Very well. How are you? How are we all? We all good?
Quick, just change the layout.
No, you know what? You know what I think happened? So as I joined, I connected my mouse. Mouse is wireless, so I connected it to the PC, and I think somehow that might have just made it corrupt somehow. I don't...
You accidentally clicked on something. Is basically
No,
what
I
you're
didn't.
saying.
I swear I didn't.
Yeah, we've heard
might
it
have
all
happened.
before.
think
Leeds
it might have
fans
been mine.
pressing it up again, as usual.
Let's wrap up Halifax Town. Dave,
Can I quickly answer Ian's question?
Yeah,
Oh, there
I
it
was
is.
just going to bring it in.
Yeah.
Is the question of when will Halifax be able to play at home?
Yeah.
Obviously, as things stand, the schedule at least for Town is to be away at Wheels at the weekend, and then is it away on the Tuesday night after again?
They are,
Boston
yeah, to Boston.
United. So you're due to be at home. You tell me. Actually,
23rd.
Yeah, against.
Forest Green Rovers.
Is that still as is that what we're still expecting? Is everything going well
Yeah.
with the pitch tree development, etc.? There's no new stories, no worries that anything could be delayed.
No worries at the Ken Davey Arena. None at all.
Swamp Donkeys are going
In terms
well.
in terms of the pitch, no. I mean, there's been nothing further said on that. Obviously, we're due another heat wave this week, so I think sprinklers will be on again, and I trust Graham Osborne, who's still, as far as I'm aware, the head groundsman at the Ken Davey Arena, formerly the Shea Stadium. I've not heard anything different, Ian. It's going to be the 23rd of August at home at Forest Green. Robbie Savage's Forest Green. God, how boring's that going to get on 606? He's gone from just banging on about Macclesfield after a Manchester derby. What relevance does that have? To probably been like, did you know I'm Forest Green manager? Yeah, I did, because everybody's up your ass about it.
Do you think he'll mention on 606 about that he's turned up at the Ken Davey Arena?
Yeah, probably. If
Can
we
you
win,
phone
I
in,
will
please,
tune in
Dave, to
especially.
606?
Dave,
Yeah,
you
I will
are
tune in. If we win, I will tune in especially to listen to him
Man,
and
you
Chris
need
Sutton,
you need to phone in, not just tune in, phone in.
Yeah, actually phone in.
Dave, you are so subtle. I just love it.
At risk of digressing, we will quickly try and move on. Robbie Savage's Forest Green got a 2-2 draw on the opening day of the season at Solihull Moors. Right, Lou, the rest of non-league, please. I mean, what's caught your eye over the course of the weekend? Obviously, yeah, we'll try and get a full non-league show. Maybe I was thinking this week, but it's a busy week as it stands. So if not this week, maybe next. But across the region, obviously, the Northern Premier League got back underway. Guys, they lost to at Bamber Bridge. The NPL East was back underway. And obviously, Avenue got a goalless draw at Matlock, and there was a whole host of other fixtures as well. So, do you want to quickly run us through it?
Cheers, Chris. No pressure. Right, okay, so starting with the NPL Prem, because as we know, Farsley, unfortunately, have obviously they dropped out of the National League North as it was, and they've got a season off as to everything that's going around there. Again, not heard much about it, but for those that are playing this season, Guiseley, yes, disappointing 2-0 defeat to Bamber Bridge. Surprised, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
It's a relatively decent starting lineup, but I know that there are a few murmurs of fans who've been a little bit disgruntled at some of the performances and that during pre-season, and unfortunately followed up with a disappointing defeat to Bamber Bridge. Yes, the no mugs, they're okay at Bamber Bridge. I had expected them to be at the top of that division without being harsh, no. So they'll be wanting to definitely recover for that, Guiseley, because they are one of those teams that people are expecting to be up at the right end of the table. But yeah, I don't know. They looked don't sound encouraging from those in the know in terms of going to the games and what come out of that one. In terms of the NPL East,
they've got Hebburn sorry, mate,
on,
just going. They've got Hebburn tomorrow night as well, who themselves are no mugs, are a well-organised side, but again, it's a fixture that you would look at from a Guiseley perspective. Obviously, that first home game of the season, they'll want a decent crowd down at Nethermore tomorrow night, and you would think that they should, all being well, be able to bounce back.
How do you feel about it, Chris, being a avid Guiseley fan?
Hey, to be fair, it's a game that should be able to go and win.
Says a man in Hebburn colours.
Yeah, you are such a knob.
Ironically, I'm in Hebburn colours right now, but yes. It's a Nen County top. Lou, carry on quickly.
I don't know. I thought you had another question. Yeah, so I think it'd be a difficult one at Hebburn, to be honest. Never easy to play at any kind of North East team, but yeah, yeah. It's hard to say because obviously I know Dave's been disappointed with Halifax. It's hard to judge after one game, isn't it? But it's disappointing when you don't win your first one. I think in terms of the MPL East, so some clubs got in action in terms of the FA Cup extra prelim rounds last weekend. This weekend, the actual league action started in earnest. So unfortunately, Ossett United suffered a 4-1 defeat to Bishop Auckland. They actually were 1-0 up at half time. Apparently played outstandingly well for the first 45 minutes or so, despite one of their kind of mainstays, Josh Askew, suffering an injury after half an hour. But 4 unanswered goals was quite a heavy defeat. And Wally, I think, for the first time in a long time, even at the first game of the season, said he was disappointed the way that second half went. Other results in that. Yeah, well, it's just they're going to be up there or thereabouts to Bishop Auckland, but to concede 4 unanswered after leading 1-0 at half times, I think a bit of pill to swallow. I mean, Brighouse with a decent victory at home to get underway against Blythe Town. Harvey Booth, who I've always seen as a striker in the NCL, now playing as a centre back, which is bewildering.
Was he at Eccles Hill last season?
Yeah, Eccles Hill and Campion.
I thought he was.
Oh,
yeah, I remember him being.
Your other local team, Chris.
Who are now not so local because they've moved to Cougar Park. Yeah, them. Carry on, Luke.
Garforth drew 1-1 to Hallam. He likes Paul Marshall. Matlock 0, Bradford Park Avenue 0. So that was obviously one for Avenue to get on the road after a 1-0 victory against Mossley. Matlock, one of the, probably the title favourites. Big spending Matlock with players galore from Buxton from 2 divisions above. To be fair, it was a very even game, not much in it at all. Avenue did have an opportunity when I was commentating, called it from 40 yards. I was being slightly harsh on Marcus Carver. It was from just behind the halfway line. Just tipped over bar, but that was about it. There wasn't much else to the game. But Avenue, I think, will be happy with a point away. Tomorrow, there's and Ponty also won 2-0, which is a good result for the Calls there. Tomorrow, there's a whole host of fixtures, including a derby between Avenue and Emley in the West Yorkshire. Ossett hosting Bridlington Town, and Silsden as well back in action after suffering a 3-0 defeat to Emley on Friday night. They host Ponty. Then, there's a series of results. I won't go for every single one, but the ones that are standing out so far, Jamie Price's Fackley started the season really well, up at the right end of the table. I think what they've got, that's it, 7 points out of the first 3 games. Good return. Liversidge steady, 4 points from 3. At the wrong end of the table, my dark horse Albion. Golker are struggling as well, unfortunately, after a few games. I mean, in Division 1, encouraging signs from South Leeds. Again, not many probably tip them to do well. And the ones that are struggling down at the wrong end of the table, I say that unexpected, likes of Wakefield, who, were defeated 4-0 to Durham in District. So, yes, some interesting fixtures going along. Steeton in the West region, unbeaten, I think. They beat Holker Boys 2-1, so they're off to a really good start at the moment. Plenty of games happening tomorrow over the weekend. You'll see this in non-league, where some teams will be playing also on the Saturday in the FA Cup action. Their regional cup starts as well. So there's plenty going around, plenty of high scores. No transfer window for the end of this month, so you will see a lot of rotation. But yeah, the ones that are standing out at the moment, you've got to give a lot of credit to Fackley of how they started with a complete rebuild in Steeton.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, as you say, James Price doing a great job of friend of the show's been on before, and obviously if he can keep that form, we'll get him back on the show before too long.
And I think just before I do hand over to the chaps as well, is noticeably one of the top goal scorers in our region, Zach Khan at Route 1 Rovers.
Yeah,
10 goals at the moment. 10 goals so far after 3 games. Phenomenal. Gone back to Route 1 after being at Campion. So he's already absolutely storming that goal scoring chart there. So he's one to keep an eye on for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I was there on Saturday actually in their game, their defeat against Doncaster City, and Zach Khan back on the score sheet again. He's already got 3 hat-tricks this season. He could have had another one actually in the first half alone in the game against Doncaster City on Saturday. But in the end, it wasn't to be for Route 1. But what I will say actually, and we talked about it over the course of the summer as well, is the setup at Myra Shea that's undergone just a huge transformation by the council. A new 4G pitch has been put in, new little hospitality suites and changing rooms, and it is a really, really good facility down at Myra Shea now. It has to be said.
Just
it was needed.
Go on, Hansa.
Sorry, just a quick question from me, Lou. Do you think the Bradford Park Avenue Emily game is a bit of a yardstick quite early on for that division against obviously Park Avenue were wanting to do really well out there and build on what they stabilised last season, but I suspect that you'll want to be far higher this year, and obviously for Emily did superbly well, but obviously they've struggled to bring some new players in. It's been a bit hard because of the amounts of money that's been chucked around the division. So do you think it could be a bit of a yardstick for both clubs?
To an extent, maybe. I still think it's early. Like I say, we are still talking. Well, it'll be Emily's second competitive game of the season, Avenue's third. Obviously, a FA Cup action on Saturday with a bit of an eye on that for both teams, let's be honest, because it's valuable income for a lot of these clubs. I think it's going to be an interesting game. Both teams will set up very differently. Went to watch Emily Silson on a Friday night with Chris and Emily. I've got very much a blueprint of how they operate and how they work. Very familiar, very solid, very disciplined. Avenue of a brand new squad. Craig wanting to pretty much press on the front, but that wasn't really seen as much as what is indicated previously on Saturday at Matlock. It was very stubborn, very condensed, very structurally sound team, whilst also trying to catch Matlock on the counter-attack. The thing is with Avenue, they do have a few injuries already going into tomorrow night's game. I know Emily have got one or two as well. It's going to be an interesting one. Does it define the season? No. Is it one that if you win, you do call it an indicator? Possibly. It's still early days, but like I say, I think we've 5 games in the next 2 or 3 weeks. So a lot of these clubs, it's going to be really difficult, and I think it'll be an entertaining one. I think both teams will give it everything they've possibly got, but they've just got to bear in mind that they've got to have an eye on some of these other games coming up, because it isn't going to be the be all and end all tomorrow night.
Yeah, it is going to be a very busy start to the season, without a doubt. One final thing on the non-league side, and is Ian's question for you, Lou. He says, did he read correctly that former Farsley owners rocked up somewhere else is ruffling some feathers? I've not seen anything about this myself. I'm not sure if you have elsewhere, but
no, I haven't. Not at all. I've not seen anything either.
Nothing would shock me, and I imagine if you take a closer look at Farsley circles, that's probably the area to look to see if there is anything coming from the former owner there. Right then, let's turn our attention to the Premier League new boys, Leeds United. Yes, we know.
Come on.
Say it again, Chris. Say it again. Fan me.
The Premier League new boys that might survive a season if you look at Jay Brownie. Obviously, well, the season for you, actually, the Premier League season obviously starts a couple of days later than most of the other sides. Get that background off right now, Brownie. We cover it all on this one. But yeah, so it'll be a week tonight, your first game at home to Everton. I mean, where are you both feeling about things at the moment? In terms of the transfers, is it me or has it gone a little bit quiet in the last week or two, Brownie?
Yeah, I think it's 21 days since we signed Lucas Perry. Obviously, not that we're counting, no, and it's 40 out. Yeah,
21 days, that's 3 weeks.
Yeah. And obviously we chased after Igor Pajau, which obviously we've talked a lot about, and that didn't happen. And then since then, it's pretty much gone quiet. I was hoping that we'd have a little bit of a busy week, or there'd be a lot of kind of talk of stuff. And yeah, it's an interesting one at the minute. It's interesting because Everton have obviously strengthened today. I think Grealish is just about there. He's taking his medical today, and that's a whopper of a signing for them, an absolute whopper of a signing. And apparently they're paying full wages, and it's going to cost them 15 million or whatever.
16 million a year.
16 million a year.
But wages.
I would do that for him. Would you not take Grealish for that amount for this season? I would.
I think. Sorry to kind of take
your
bit here, Brad, but I feel a little bit differently about it. Like, I really like Jack Grealish. I like him as a player. I like him as a person. I think he kind of resonates with me as a footballer. I like the way that he carries himself. Given the way that he kind of came across at Villa in his early days, he's certainly changed my opinion.
Yeah.
All that aside, He's had 2 years pretty much out of playing competitively week in, week out. We don't know what version of Jack Grealish we're going to get. You know, he's never been one free of injuries. He has had injuries. And I think, given how our PSR situation would be, I think that would really limit us. If we have to pay 16 million quid in wages, 300k a week, I think it is, something like that.
Yeah.
Like that's excessive for a club that's just been promoted from the Championship. Because I think we would probably be in the ballpark for a player that's prepared to go to Everton. I think we could compete with them. But given the PSR limitations, I don't think that would then leave us the room to do other stuff. That's how I feel about it, because there's going to be a loan fee involved in that as well. Plus that 16 million in wages. Plus you don't know what you're getting, given the fact that he's been out of playing week in, week out for 2 years. So there's a reason that he's going to Everton over going to Spurs or going to other teams that would potentially be looking at the top 10. You know, Everton are probably in a transitional season themselves where they might be closer towards the bottom than the top half. So I feel a bit indifferent about it. I'd be buzzing if we signed him. I'm not saying that I wouldn't be delighted if we signed him, but I understand why it wouldn't make a lot of sense for us.
Yeah, no, I get that. I think probably what's raised the alarm bells probably more, because I think I was saying to Jay a couple of weeks ago, I was saying it feels like about a 6 or a 7 out of 10 transfer window. And we're kind of waiting for something to kind of take it up to a 9 or a 10. And it feels close. I love how they've built the squad. I think the midfield's very strong. The defence is strong. We've sorted out the goalkeeping position, hopefully. But we just need a bit of that magic at the other end of the pitch. And I actually think Daniel Farke's comments after the last 2 friendlies have kind of stoked a little bit more of this kind of fervour. Because when the manager's saying it, when the manager's saying your attack is now weaker in the Premier League than it was in the Championship, well, it's going to be alarm bells. Now, for me, watching the friendly matches, I've been encouraged by what I've seen. I feel like we're going to be competitive. I feel like we've made some really good acquisitions. Probably top of that list is Anton Stack. Looks levels above, looks really good. But I think there's definitely an issue at the top of the pitch, and that is worrying, because where are the links? Where are the kind of rumours coming in? Where are the kind of exciting links happening? It just feels very quiet. It feels like there's no movement. Now, we've had this before, and then all of a sudden something happens. There's still, 3 weeks left of the transfer window. It's kind of, I'm trying to keep a lid on my kind of anxiousness about this. I'm trying to keep level-headed about it, because we know how the 49ers work. But
you're doing it well so far.
Yeah, but I think, I am a little bit concerned. I was hoping Everton weren't going to kind of get Grealish and Dewsbury Hall in time for the Leeds game. So, you know, that's going to be a real tough opening game. I am excited. I would just love something to happen this week. I would just absolutely love it if we got an exciting signing before the Everton game, just to kind of put that feel-good factor back in it. But it's exciting. Nonetheless, it's exciting. I think probably what you need to do as a Leeds fan, and I'm totally contradicting this, is just kind of pull back from the constant kind of transfer rumour mill and checking Twitter every 5 seconds and checking what the journalists are doing, which is absolutely what I'm doing. And it just feeds that kind of paranoia. When if you actually look at how we've played in the games, yes, they're friendlies, but we've played, you know, good level teams at AC Milan, and we dominated. I mean, I caught the second half, and we absolutely dominated them possession-wise. And I think that's could be a little bit of a secret weapon of ours, is the fact that we've got our midfield is really, really strong. They're technically good, athletic, can do everything, and I think that might surprise a few teams. I hope it does anyway. So yeah, it's in a good place, but I would just love, as Daniel Farke has said, let's just do something at the top end of the pitch. Let's get it sewn up, because I do feel like we have got a good chance of potentially staying up if we do.
I mean, Jay, is there anything in that rumour mill at the moment in terms of out-and-out strikers at the moment? Because obviously, as it stands, you're still going into the season with Joel Pirou and Patrick Bamford. I mean, Mateo Joseph, we know that he's kind of on his way out at some point, isn't he?
Gone.
Or is it gone now?
Joseph's gone and Bamford's not part of the squad. It's Lucas Metra.
Can I just say, sorry, Jay, but how bizarre was that Mateo Joseph exit? Did you see all the statement? Like, he's released a page-long statement, and one day he'll get to... But it's like one day...
Yeah, for those
Mallorca.
that haven't seen it,
Mallorca.
Brownie, talk us through it then, because I'll say I
Well,
really wasn't aware of this.
So he left. I think it got announced like Sunday, and he did a post. It was like a page-long post of this kind of long statement about how he's grateful, but one day he'll get the chance to tell his side of the story. You're going, hang on, what are you talking about? It's not an Isaac situation. You barely kicked a ball last season. There's also a video that Mallorca put out as well.
Yeah, I didn't say that.
There's also a video that Mallorca have put out, and it's showing Matteo Joseph changing his location, and it's showing the weather in Leeds, and then he flicks it over to Mallorca, and it's 27 degrees or something, even though we're about to be in a heat wave. And it's just it's just odd, very odd behaviour for someone who might be coming back in 12 months. It was just a little bit strange.
We touched on it we touched on it last week, didn't we, Downs? And me, you, and Gaz. For me, it blows my mind, and how badly kind of represented and advised he has been in all of this is just bonkers. I mean, he's still got 3 years left on his contract. He had a terrible season last season. He's got 3 championship goals, I think it was. He started the season as the number 1, number 9, and lost his position. He didn't lose it because Daniel Farke just had his favourites and Joel Perreault came back into fitness. He lost it because he was poor. And Joel Perreault took the spot and made it his own for the rest of the season as an out-and-out number 9, in which we'd been told previous to that Joel Perreault wasn't a number 9. So, yeah, for me, the whole thing just is really weird. And it'll be really interesting to see how he does in La Liga next season, given the fact that he's now stepping up. You would think in terms of levels in comparison from the Championship to La Liga. So, yeah, I mean, last season there wasn't anything, was there, Brownie, that we saw that really thought... I was saying this to the lads last week. Not only did we see a lack of quality from him, we saw a lack of attitude as well. There were times where he was coming off the bench and he was sauntering around like he didn't want to be there. And Bamford actually ended up finishing the season as the second choice number 9 and made a real impact to get us up towards the end of last season. So it's a real weird one. And for me, it's good riddance, if I'm honest. It is.
Sounds to me like he's a bit like Garnacho at Man United, thinks that he's better than what he is, and he's better than Leeds United Football Club. And whilst I have my opinions on Leeds United Football Club that are well versed, I also think that that's an absolutely horrific attitude to have, because I'm sorry, no player is bigger than any club, and particularly when you play for a club such as Leeds, where you've got the history, you've got the fan base, you've got everything around that football club. That is not an attitude that you need to be having. You need to be a humble person that should be grateful.
What I will say, if we can just come in, Brownie, is this whole of Leeds United loanees going out and kind of reflecting badly back on Leeds United. Isn't this a little bit like the whole Jack Harrison situation? He thought he was a bit too big, went out on loan, and has had to come back. And then obviously we have to touch on the fact that Jack Harrison came off the bench in Dublin at the weekend against AC Milan, and Leeds fans did not take kindly to his appearance.
No, I mean, just a couple of things just to wrap up on the Matteo Joseph thing. One thing I want to kind of touch on that is I love the club's stance on it. So the club have basically said, because Real Betis was sniffing around, and Real Betis have had our pants down a couple of times. They got Llorente on cheap, they got Mark Rocker on cheap. They've picked up, obviously, Junior Firpo on a free, which obviously we had no control of. And they clearly wanted to do some kind of loan with a fee in the future that was probably peanuts. And the club have said, no, you can have him for loan for 1 year, but no fee, and then hopefully his value increases. But he's ended up going to where he's gone, and there's no obligation at the end of it. There's no kind of future fee. It's like, look, if he does well for you and you want to buy him, or someone else wants to buy him, you have to pay a decent fee. So they've taken a good stance on it for me. In terms of Jack Harrison, he got absolutely booed off the park. What I will say is, I think it's eventually going to have to come to it where we draw a line under it, and if he's part of the squad, we've got to get on with it. I think there was pockets of applause for him, and at the end of the game, I did see a tweet where he went to the away end and he did get clapped. So
he's just got to move on from that.
Let's be fair. We've been here a few times now, but this situation is not new to us. We've had this now 4 or 5 times over the last 2 seasons Brendan Aronson, booed in pre-season, reindoctrinated himself into the squad, scored on the opening day of last season. It was soon forgotten in terms of the fact that he'd left. People started making the problems with Brendan Aronson as the season went on, just because of the American thing and all the rest of it. But it was soon forgotten. Willie Gnonto refused to play for the football club while still being here, and was taken out of training completely, and then apologised and made his way back into the side. So if Gnonto, and then you add in Max Verber, who was fine last season, and for me, it's a bit of a non-thing now. It's whether we want Jack Harrison as our backup option on the left, or potentially even the starting option on the left or not. I'm just seeing it as the footballer, you know what I mean? And I think, as well as being publicised, and I think you were kind of coming to it, Chris, like it's whether what we need in certain areas of the pitch. And without a doubt, we are right now weaker in the attack than we were last season. We've not got Matteo Joseph as a backup. We've not got Patrick Bamford as a backup. We have got a better backup in Mecha than we had in both of them, but his injury record is a problem. So we've got that to deal with. And out wide in the creative areas, our best winger last season is no longer here in Manor Solomon. So we've got a situation to take care of in that position as well. So, yeah, I've not got a problem with Jack Harrison being part of the squad now. I've come to terms with it. At the start of the window, really did, well, right back at the kind of promotion time, I was very against it because of the way that it left on. As time's gone on, I've just been like, you know what? Jack Harrison's an experienced Premier League winger now. We could do a lot worse than having him on the bench. He's got a decent left foot. He's got a decent delivery. He can also play left back. I'm all right with it, personally.
Yeah, I think that's kind of, I reckon over the last week or so, I'm just like, yeah, I'm kind of done with it now. It's just, I think he's probably going to be here unless something happens. Everton are not going to be interested in him. I can't see much else happening. He's got a long contract, and like Jay says, it's just time to kind of move on from it, really. And look, the boys need our support going forward.
Jay, where's the rumour then on strikers, out and out forwards?
So the noise today has gathered pace from pretty much nowhere that Dominic Calvert-Lewin is going to be in the door this week. Now, so the rumours that have come out tonight.
Is that Newcastle United linked Dominic Calvert-Lewin?
Oh my God,
Lou, I can't do it to you. No, I can't. I mean, I'd love us to step in and just sign the AC Milan centre back that you've just signed, just for the bands. I don't even want him, but
no, it's fine. Chris can get blocked soon. Don't worry about it. It's fine.
But yeah, obviously Calvert-Lewin's had a bit of an attraction from a whole host. I think he was linked with Manchester United at the beginning of the window, and we were all kind of laughing about it. And I think we need to remember where we are at. Like, I'm laughing at it as a potential signing for Manchester United. I could see him being a pretty good backup option for Newcastle. I think for Leeds, it's a good signing if he's fit. The problem with Dominic Calvert-Lewin is he's not normally fit. Now, the question that comes for me is he going to be is he going to replace Bamford as the second or third choice striker? Because if the answer to that is yes, then it's a great signing, and we go out and sign another number 9. The things that I'm reading online tonight is he's the backup to Muniz, which worries me a little bit. So if we don't get Muniz from Fulham, we're going to make do with Dominic Calvert-Lewin, which then tells me we're going to go into the season with Perrault as the number 1 and Metra as the number 2. And Calvert-Lewin will work his way back into fitness. If he's fully fit, he could potentially earn that spot. But Calvert-Lewin hasn't scored over double-figure goals since 2021. And that, for me, is a bit of a concern. It's down to minutes.
It's just been, I mean, he obviously struggled with injuries, certainly 22, 23, and to a point 24. But last season, he did seem to be better in the fitness front. He was playing games more often than he had done previously, which I think would be an encouraging sign. And let's not forget, at one point, Dominic Calvert-Lewin was tipped to be a big one, not just for Everton and Premier League clubs, but for England as well.
Yeah, it was the heir to the. Say again.
No, not that long ago in the grand scheme of things.
It's not that long ago, Dan. You're talking 4 seasons ago.
Yeah. I personally think he's too injury prone, Jay. I know what you're saying, like, in terms of, I agree with you, like, if he's a backup for somebody, but I don't think you guys need, when you're in the Prem, you need somebody who's going to score 10, 12, 14 goals as your centre forward. and he's not the one. I don't think he's.
I tend to agree with you.
To be fair to him.
I think if you're putting your eggs in the basket of him starting week in, week out, I think we've got a problem. I've got no problem if he's on the bench for the Everton game. Let's just say it gets done this week, and he's up to speed and he's on the bench for the Everton game a week today, and we then go and sign another number 9 before the end of the window. I got no problem with that.
But surely Calvert-Lewin doesn't come in on sitting on the bench wages.
No
Surely
chance.
he's coming in on. And actually, you know what? If you're Dominic Calvert-Lewin, you're looking at this as this is your opportunity actually to be the number 1 again and to be back, because again he has scored double figure seasons, for, a few times in the past. Yeah. So he'll be looking at this surely that actually there's a chance for him to nail down that starting striker role and to be getting himself on the score sheet. Now I don't think personally that it's that unlikely in doing so.
No, I'm stuck in a bit of a middle ground with it, because I would expect somebody that would be like part of the fee that you pay for when you buy a player is for them to be available. There's nothing more essential than them being available. And the track record from Dominic Calvert-Lewin over the most recent 4 seasons maybe, is being available. I know you're saying he was available last season, and I get it, but he didn't look the same player, did he?
I've just checked the numbers at least. And actually, you know what? The season before last, he featured more times. So in 23-24, the previous 21-22 and 22-23, he made 17 appearances in each. 23-24, he made 33, and last season he made 26. So
how many goals did he get?
7 and 3, I think
10,
it is.
Yeah, 10 combined across them 2 seasons.
You see what I mean? 10 combined in 2 seasons. That ain't keeping Leeds up.
Just one thing on that, though, and I'm playing a little bit of the devil's advocate with this.
Different football, isn't it? Different.
And our 9 isn't, this is going to sound mental, but our 9 isn't essentially there to score the goals. Yeah. Our goals come from the wings. They come from Manor Solomon last season, Dan James, Juni Firpo and Jayden Bogle. I know Perot got a decent chunk as well, but the goals, the majority of the 100 goals that we scored actually came from the flanks. And I don't think the style is going to be that different. So I can understand why potentially having somebody that can do that all-round game, because Dominic Calvert-Lewin is good at link-up play, why that would make a lot of sense. So I'm not arguing what you're saying, by the way, Dante, because I actually am more leaning to agreeing with you in that I think the injury record side of it is probably going to put me off. But I don't see him being the only 9 that we sign if we go and sign him. But it would then leave me also scratching my head in how are you going to get enough game time for them 4 if you then have 4. So
exactly. I think you're right. I would say is the answer no. Is he a good option? Yes. Mm-hmm. Will he get better at service at Leeds than he would do at Everton? Yes, because you've arguably got better wingers. That's his strength, is to get on the end of headers. Is he brilliant with the ball at his feet? He's okay. He's all right. He's better linking up play, but he's actually a very good header in that box on target. And with the likes of James, Nonto, Ramazani, Atella on there, I don't think he'd be a bad option for Leeds. I think it's a sensible signing. He's proven Premier League. Is he going to start week in, week out? No. Will he probably get you about 8 or so goals? Probably would do across the courses of a season. As an option rather than the answer, I don't think it's a bad deal at all for Leeds. I really don't.
You know what, Lou? I think the club are looking at it and thinking, we have as target options for the 9 position, but if it doesn't come off, we'll go down a cheaper route there and put more into the areas where we need that creativity. Because I don't know if Brownie agrees with me with this, but if I'm picking between, I'm not saying Pajau because obviously Pajau's now gone, but putting the money into a stretch target to give us creativity is actually more essential than locking off this number 9, because Perot, I think, will still get us 10 goals this season. I really do. I think he's been really good in pre-season. I think Metch has been far more capable than I thought he was. What I remembered him in this country, certainly, is miles beyond that. Like, he looks a really good player. His issues, injuries. And then Dominic Calvert-Lewin as well. I think at the moment where this squad looks a little bit weak is the 10 creative winger situation that we've got. And that's hopefully going to be sorted by either somebody like El Canous, Pajau previously. That figure of player is probably what we're actually missing more than the 9. So yeah, I agree with
Yeah,
you.
I can see that. You've got to feed players like Calvert-Lewin. Is he going to create something out of nothing, like of Pirot? No, they're not. They need people around him to do that work, haven't they? They've got to allow that creativity to get into him. I think if you went into the start of the season with potentially Pirot, Calvert-Lewin, the charmer in there, is it brilliant? Not brilliant. Is it passable for the first bit of the season? Yes, I think it probably is.
You don't think it's a bit like having Chris Wood up top for you? Like I always think, like, you know,
I'd love Chris Wood up top.
Yeah.
No,
Give me Chris Wood.
They've ripped
No,
your hand off.
no, I know, but what I'm saying though is, like, he's not going to bang you 20 goals in, is he? But what he is really good at and really effective at is A, getting on the end of headers and stuff like that, but B, bringing others into play. So I agree with you, Jay, on that in terms of the style. I just wonder, does that put massive pressure on the two wing players, whoever they are, to come up with the goals that are needed? And I'm not saying that you can't do it, because I actually think, compared to some of the other clubs, which I know we might come on to depending on how long we want the stream to go on, I think you've got far more creativity up there than a lot of clubs. But I just wonder whether that, you know, that puts massive pressure on those areas of the pitch where, you know, it kind of, they're the ones that need to score the goals, aren't they then?
I think that's the part of the style though. Like, that ain't gonna change. We have shown a variation in pre-season to the way that we're gonna set up, and being a little bit more solidified in the centre of the pitch, which is making us more defensively structured, which I actually really like. The problem with it is it does then limit our creativity to going the other way, which is why we need this X factor player. But I really have liked what we've seen during pre-season. I mean, Brownie mentioned Anton Stack earlier, and I know I've been getting dead excited about him in the chat. The guy is legit. Like, you know, I set myself up with certain players. Rafinha, the second that I saw him, I said it. And Anton Stack just feels the same. He just, everything that he does looks the level up. Like, he should have signed for somebody better than us. Really, in terms of where we're going to be this season. He's beyond us. He's I'd say he's a top 7-8 player. Wouldn't you agree, Brownie? Like, everything.
Yeah.
Carries the ball, the way that he passes, his awareness, his ability to be able to first time pass that. I know it didn't come off, but the pass to James in the first half, our other midfielders don't do that. And yeah, he's just, and then the left foot shot that hit the bar, then he scores the goal. Like, he's just got everything about him, and he's gone under the radar as Anton Stack. He's not a household name, but he's a German international. It's
weird, isn't it? How has he not got picked? I don't know how he's not got picked up at like 26 or whatever.
Yeah, well, Leverkusen were from what we've read, interested in him, and Leeds beat them to the signature. So they must have put a package on the table and some promises, because the lad's a player, and you'll see it. He reminds me very much of Paulinho, who's just come back to Tottenham. He's that kind of build and carries himself in the same way. Sander Berger. Like, he just kind of looks and feels like that. So, yeah, I'm super excited by him.
Do you think it'll be him, Tanaka, and Ampadu then? Do you think that'll be the mid three, and Longstaff kind of the number, you know, the bench option, may start occasionally? I feel happy with Tanaka, Ampadu, and Stack if it's like that, to be honest.
I think Longstaff will come in against the teams where we're going to be even deeper. That's what I think. I think Tanaka will come out in them games, and Tanaka will play the games where we will want to take the 3 points. Obviously, we won't always take 3 points, but you know what I'm trying to say. Like, where we're going to be going more at teams, he will start, and Longstaff will start in the games where we're going to be a little bit more disciplined. I think the team that we saw against Milan will be the team that we see start against Everton. I think Struijk will start because of Biol's suspension, and then Biol will come in and start. I think that'll be the team that you see starting the beginning of the season, with Perot up front and Mecha being the option. But again, I can see Mecha coming in and starting games dependent on the opponents, and I'm all right with that. But I think Stack and Ampadu, they'll start in the midfield, and then it'll be one of the other three.
Good news for Lou, though, isn't it? Like, you know, you think about this in terms of, you know, this Stack and how much praise you've put on him there. You know, when Tonali signs for Juventus in this window, Newcastle can go in January and get Stack off you boys. So,
Well, we have him for a season. We'll talk about it then. But yeah, like overall, Chris,
if you've won 2 games, you're all happy, bloody clappy. Just you wait on sunshine. Just you wait.
I genuinely don't think, by the way, Everton will be down there. I think Moyes is. I think Moyes will get them sorted out. I disagree with you when you said about you can see them possibly being nearer the bottom than the top half. I disagree with that. I think he's such a good manager.
I think they have some problems that are a little bit more deep rooted, and time will tell. But looking at their squad, I know that they've now added Dewsbury Hall and Jack Grealish. That does obviously change things. I think they will both be real quality for them. I still think they've got some real issues defensively. I hear you, and I think they will probably be absolutely fine. But, if they ended the season 16th to 18th, I won't be shocked. I won't be shocked because they've got some serious holes in that team. Like I said, they could still stay up, finish 16th and 17th, and be really flirting with relegation to the end of the season. You'd be able to say you were right, but I'd be still saying, look, they've still struggled way more than people expected. So I just think they're in a cohort of teams that I'm looking at that I'm thinking we have got a chance to finish in front of them. So, yeah.
They're not in my bottom six, put it that way.
I'll do mine, actually. Now that we're a week away, I'll do mine after this because I think that'll be quite an interesting topic. But just to come back to your question, Chris, and I'm going to kind of summarise it with Brownie's help of the 6 or 7 window. That's exactly where it's at so far because we've not got that X Factor signing or 2 in them creative areas, and we've still got a real limitation in the fullback spot as well. Isaac Schmidt is literally miles away from being first team ready. I mean, we saw him fleetingly last season when teams were tired. Usually we saw him in a more attacking position, and now we're seeing why Daniel Farke was right all along in that he wasn't a fullback. He wasn't ready to deputise when Bogle or Firpo were injured, and he went with Sam Byram. He's literally miles away, and a lot of fans that were screaming blue murder at Daniel Farke for not playing him are now seeing it. And it's funny how usually the football manager is right. I mean, Brownie, you tell me what you've thought of Schmidt's defensive performance. It's like watching a child that's not fully understood the position that he's playing. He's always like looking around him, and he's constantly getting sucked in from fullback to centre back. I mean, all the chances that we've conceded over the last 2 games, the one that I saw against Villarreal and then Milan at the weekend, have all come down his side. He's terrible defensively.
And I wonder what's going on with him as well, because he was obviously linked to getting a loan move away
the
week before last, and then he's played in the last 2 friendlies because Bogle's been out. And, is Farke sending a message by playing this guy? Because obviously Byram's been available. It's almost like, come on, we need something here. And Jay's right. If Bogle's out for any length of time, or Goodmanson on the other side, you're really worried about that because it's such a key part of how we play, how we attack in the Premier League. You've got to be absolutely bang on it. So that's a massive concern. I'm surprised it's going this late to kind of get that cover. But Schmidt is, he cannot be starting against Premier League wingers.
I think Jack Harrison will start any game at left back that Goodmanson's not fit. I think that is definitely going to be what we see down that side, and it makes a lot of sense. I think defensively Jack's actually pretty good. He works hard. I know that he's a bit like Dan James with a bit more defensive now, seeing that Dan James really worked hard coming back. So I'm not too worried on the left-hand side, but on the right-hand side, I'm really, really concerned. I mean, we were speaking the other day, me, Gaz and Downsy, about how difficult it is to recruit for a backup fullback because you need somebody of enough quality, but then who's going to come and sit on the bench as a second option fullback when you're not guaranteed minutes? It's not like one of them positions where you usually change it during a game. Now, we might do that a little bit more often because we actually use them as real attacking forces. So fullbacks do get changed a little bit more in our team. But if Bogle and Goodmanson are fit, they're going to start. So how do you recruit for that position, making sure that you then recruit enough quality? So it's a real tricky one. I understand why it's ended up going on. James Justin played the full game against Sheffield Wednesday yesterday, which he's been the one really strongly linked. And I think that would make a lot of sense because he can play on both sides as well. And he's been coming back from injury. He's had to drop down to the Championship. He'd probably be prepared to come in and work for his place back in a Premier League side. So, I'm really concerned about that one, though. Bogle is due to start on Monday night, from what we're hearing.
Thank God.
It's insane how essential he actually is. I'd actually say he's probably the first name on the team sheet, which seems mental. Like, he's so important to the way that this side plays. And before the last 2 games, Jayden Bogle, Brownie, again, I don't know if you confirm this or not, but he was our most creative player from right back. So, yeah, he's key. Absolutely key.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anything else on the Leeds United front before we kind of finish up or get towards finishing up?
Go on, Brownie.
No, there was a player that I forgot his name, kind of slips from my memory, and apparently he's rejected. He's turned down and moved to Leeds. I think he's linked.
Callum Wendo.
Yes, that's it. Yeah, Callum Wendo.
We've been linked with him about 4 times. Like, we nearly signed him when we were in the Premier League last time. But he's, again, rumoured Brentford or Newcastle.
Go on, Chris, banter him. Go on, Chris, banter him. I dare you. I dare you. Come on.
To be fair, though, Lou, we have made like 8 signings this summer, so we're all right.
Oh, don't use
He's too Chris is too Chris is too busy looking at the 20 clubs that he already supports.
True. Yeah, that's true.
Great banter.
Yeah,
He don't like it, does he, Lou? He don't like it when it's on other foot, does he, Lou? Go on, Lou.
Callum Partridge has entered the building. Hello.
Get a grip, boys. Get a grip. From me, Chris, to kind of summarise, I think we will probably see one come over the line this week before Monday. I do. I feel like we might just get one in.
I hope so.
It has been 3 weeks since, but I think we need to be careful not to sweat on that too much. There's some clubs that have not done anything or next to nothing in the Premier League. We have recruited quite well. We're not recruiting for the sake of recruiting. I'd rather go for the players that are going to improve this team, ideally the starting 11. So, you know, some of them, quote unquote, stretch targets. I'd rather go for them. There's still 3 weeks of the window left to go. We're not going to finish the window with the same team that we've got. We will see probably Manor Solomon come through the door if another creative winger 10 doesn't come in. So I'm not even really that stressed about it, if I'm honest.
Solomon does feel like a deal there to be done as well. He's not getting included in anything, is he? Spurs wise, and it feels like it will fit. I'd be delighted if he came back.
Imagine if he rejects you, goes to Newcastle. That would be hilarious.
Got me, didn't it?
Paul Lou.
We've got enough winners.
Let's just finish up then. I think we are going to aim to try and do a Premier League preview show later in the week for a wider look at how other clubs in the Premier League are doing, as well as just Leeds United on that front. But let's finish off by talking. Let's finish off by talking Fantasy Premier League, because our league is back up and running. You can see the code at the bottom of the screen. The code you need to join it is GXH9ZH, all lowercase letters. I think we are all back in, apart from one Jayson Boocker, who...
How did Jay do last year?
He hasn't got around to making his team yet. I'll be honest. You know what? It was only Lou in the group chat earlier that reminded me that out of the 6 of us that are on and that had teams, that Jay came last. I can't actually remember who out of the 6 of us ended up finishing top. I think it was Lou.
Brownie finished above
Brownie at the end.
Me and Brownie were quite level for a while, and then I lost interest.
I gave up at Christmas, so I completely stopped looking at it.
You gave up at Christmas, and yet you still turned out better than the rest of us. That's
Captain
slightly embarrassing for the rest of them, but
yeah,
that was it.
But Jay for the forfeit has to wear a rival shirt, and
I think Chelsea won it. It was Chelsea.
I said that I would wear a Sheffield United shirt if.
I just don't buy this Sheffield United nonsense.
And I think that's the
big
most
of a rival.
No, Sheffield United have always been my biggest.
Going.
No, Sheffield United have always been my biggest. Bear in mind, right, from the age of 16 to 32, we were in the Championship, right? So as kind of more recent knowledge, it's always been Sheffield United, and then before that, obviously, was Manchester United. So I'll wear Sheffield United or Manchester United. But all I can say with regards to the fantasy football, and I said that this would happen, is I'll do it for 2 weeks and then I'll completely forget for the whole season. And that is what happened. I paid a 10 quid into another one as well, and it's basically, I might as well just go to charity and just go, there you go. Like, I don't know why I do it, and I don't know why I struggle so much with it, but I'm happy to hold my
I've
hand.
just had a look. Lou, is Anthony Gordon going to play at weekend?
You think I'm going to tell you guys after the banter and crap I've had for the past 2 weeks?
Well,
The only
I
thing
think
I'd say
Anthony
is
Gordon, but he's got an exclamation mark on him.
Probably because he's linked with somebody else, no doubt. Probably gonna move from us.
He's
No,
refused-
Gordon
He's
probably will
down
play.
tools.
He'll probably be up front
Someone
because
else.
obviously we've got our striker. He'll probably play
He's-
front with Anthony.
Right, okay.
He's refusing
He came
to
off
play
with an
for Eddie
injury.
Howe now.
Shut up, Downsy. He came off with an injury the other day, but apparently only rolled his ankle. It's not serious.
Oh, good. Thank
The
you.
only thing that did surprise me, right, and I'm not an egghead. I particularly Lou, Chris, and Dave and Brownie. I would say that Lou, Jay, and Chris are a bit egghead football wise. I was surprised at your poor performance, Lou, in it last year. I have to say.
I thought he did all right, you know.
There's not wrong with me. I would just be. I would top 10.
I expected better.
Yeah, I can't even defend my position because I don't look at it. Like I
didn't
can't even
expect
tell you.
better from you, Jay.
Is
You
there
said
anything we
straight
can
up
do,
last
Jay?
season.
Is there anything we can do to try and keep you going? Because I'm sure there will be, well, frankly, probably millions of people out there that start a fantasy football.
We've got to
do it
be
for the
held
first 3-4
accountable.
weeks of the season.
Got
and
to be
then
held accountable during our shows and show whereabouts we are, and we have to update each other every week because that's the only way you're going to bother
More
isn't it?
updates.
Maybe if you do
More
that, like, just for the bands. But I'm telling you, I'll get to end of the season and I'll want to play it again, right? I don't know.
If Jay had the choice, it'd just be a team full of Leeds players anyway.
True story.
Stick Isaac in your team down to see how you like that one this year. Do it, I dare you.
No, I suppose you know what, Leeds are in the Premier League this season, so you know what,
Yeah.
maybe I'll keep.
You
it.
can pick Leeds as your team. Do you know, like when it gets you to pick your team at the start,
Yeah.
and Leeds are there. So I'm like, okay, fair enough. When I saw that, I was like, yeah, buzzing. Come on.
Fair
I've
enough.
purposely not picked any Leeds players.
Course you will.
Can everybody
I've got
else do
one
that on
too.
this
I've got
show?
one
Pick your
too.
own team in Fantasy Premier League. Can anybody else do that? Downs it. No, you can't.
Oh, no, I
Just
haven't.
Chris,
put me
you
in
can't
and
either.
roll on.
Woo! Well, no,
at
Chris
risk
can't
of-
And
because
to
he's
be honest,
support-
Dave just doesn't care full stop, so it doesn't
Well,
really matter.
I
today.
was about to say at risk of getting a pretty short one-word answer. Dave, are you thinking of taking part in FPL this season?
Not actually, no. So just
I mean,
again, a bit like what Jay
Come on,
said.
Dave.
I'd just pick a team and that'd be it for the season. Like I
Dave,
could
what-
just pick a team for the season and finish 5th out of 6, which would just be funny.
in Dave's world, Dean Saunders still plays for Liverpool up top.
Yeah.
Right, let's wrap it up there. I think we are going to try and get a little bit more FPL-based content out over the course of the week as well. As I say, the code at the bottom of the screen, if you want to join our fantasy league, is GXH9ZH, all lowercase letters on there. We'll be putting out over the social medias over the course of the week as well. We'll wrap it up there then. Plenty of content coming this week from the lads and different shows. So do check our socials to see what is coming up. But for myself and the rest of the lads from Lou, from Brownie, Downsy, Jay, and Dave, thanks for joining us this evening, gents, for taking the time to come on. Thanks for all your comments and questions over the course of the evening as well. If you have caught us late, check it out on YouTube. We're here to watch it from the start as well. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel and our social media platforms. Enjoy the rest of your Monday night, and we're back very soon here on the West Yorkshire Football Show. Good night.